They say the deepest cuts don't come from strangers, but from the very blood you carried in your arms when they were too small to stand. The night before my son's wedding, my own granddaughter, the little girl I once rocked to sleep, spoke words so cruel. I sat in my room wishing I wasn't alive. But she forgot one thing. Old men like me don't break easy. We bend, we endure, and sometimes, we strike back harder than anyone expects. My name's Frank. I'm 68 years old, and I live in a small town in Indiana. Folks here still wave when they drive by, and the diner down the street still knows how I like my eggs. I retired 5 years ago after 4 years on the factory floor. My back aches every morning, and my hands shake when I pour coffee into my old chipped mug. But my walls are lined with photographs. My late wife Linda holding our son Daniel on his first day of school, Daniel in his Little League uniform, and lately, Daniel with his bride-to-be. Those pictures, they're my proof that my life wasn't just a blur of shifts and bills. They remind me of everything I sacrificed, everything I fought for. I thought I'd seen all the heartbreak a man could endure. I buried my wife too soon. I raised my boy alone, and I gave every ounce of myself to make sure he had better. But nothing could have prepared me for what I heard the night before Daniel's wedding. Daniel, he's the pride of my life. I worked overtime, double shifts, holidays, all so he could go to college, all so he wouldn't have to break his back like I did. Now he's a man, building his own family, and I couldn't be prouder. And then there's Emily, my granddaughter, 22 years old. The first time I held her, I thought God had given me a second chance at fatherhood. I spoiled her, I saved for her future, I sat through school plays and graduations with tears in my eyes. But somewhere along the line, something changed. Emily grew sharper, colder. Every time I opened my mouth, she rolled her eyes. She was always glued to her phone, calling me old-fashioned or out of touch. One time she laughed and said, "Grandpa, you wouldn't understand, times have changed." I laughed it off. I told myself she was young, she'd learn. But deep down, those words cut. When you get to my age, you already feel invisible enough, like the world's moving on without you, hearing it from your own flesh and blood. That's a wound you can't patch with duct tape. Looking back, I should have seen the storm coming. The night before the wedding, the house was buzzing, Daniel was nervous, the bride's family was running around with last-minute details, and I was sitting quietly in my room, polishing the old watch Linda gave me on our 25th anniversary. I wanted to wear it to the ceremony, a piece of her with me on our son's big day. Then I heard voices in the hallway, Emily's voice, sharp and laughing with her friends. "I wish Grandpa wouldn't even come tomorrow, he's so embarrassing, always talking about the past, like it's still the 1950s, he should just stay home." They all laughed, my chest tightened, like someone had reached inside and twisted. I sat there, holding Linda's watch, feeling the air leave my lungs. 4 years of work, every scraped knuckle, every sleepless night, for this? For my own granddaughter to wish I wasn't alive to see my son's happiest day. I didn't cry, I just sat in silence. Dignity is a funny thing, it keeps you upright even when your heart wants to fall apart. That night, while the house slept, I made a choice. I wasn't going to yell, I wasn't going to beg for respect. No, respect isn't begged for, it's earned, it's demanded, and sometimes, it's taken back. Over the years, Daniel had put me on paperwork, accounts, deposits, even the hall rental for the wedding. I'd prepaid most of it, back when money was tighter, because I wanted to make sure nothing fell through. Emily thought I was just some old man telling boring stories. She forgot I was the backbone keeping this family upright. I went through the papers, made a few calls, and held the cards close to my chest. I wasn't sabotaging the wedding, I'd never hurt my son like that, but I was going to make sure Emily felt what it was like to underestimate the man who carried her world on his shoulders. She thought age made me weak, I whispered to myself. She forgot experience makes a man dangerous. By morning, the cracks were showing, the caterer called, payment delayed, the florist panicked, Emily's phone buzzed nonstop. She snapped at her father, "Why isn't this stuff paid? What's going on?" Daniel looked at me, confused, but calm. I just sipped my coffee. Emily grew frantic, pacing, muttering, her voice cracking as texts piled up. She finally cornered me. "Grandpa, do you know anything about this?" I looked her in the eye, steady. Some things only move forward when there's respect for the past. Her face flushed red. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. Not of me, but of losing control. The ceremony went on, beautiful, tearful, everything my son deserved. But it was at the reception where the reckoning came. Emily, already humiliated by the morning chaos, made one last dig. She whispered to a cousin, loud enough for me to hear, "God, Grandpa shouldn't even be here." I stood, took the microphone, the room went quiet. "My name is Frank," I began, "and I may be an old man, but I'm the reason this wedding even happened. I prepaid the hall, the food, the flowers, not because I wanted credit, but because that's what family does. We sacrifice in silence." I paused, the crowd shifted, Emily's face went pale. "But last night," I continued, my voice steady, "my granddaughter wished I wasn't alive to see this day, and that cut deeper than any factory blade I ever worked with." Gasps, silence. I looked at Daniel. "Son, I love you, and I will always stand by you, but respect is not optional." The guests erupted, some clapping, some shaking their heads at Emily. Daniel walked over, hugged me tight, and whispered, "I'm sorry, Dad, thank you for everything." Emily, she couldn't even lift her head. The days after, Emily barely spoke, her friends stopped coming around. She learned that arrogance burns bridges faster than fire. As for me, I went back to my porch. The American flag waved in the breeze, cicadas hummed in the trees, and the sun dipped low across the Indiana fields. I rocked in my chair, holding Linda's watch, whispering, "We did all right, didn't we?" Because dignity doesn't come from being loved, it comes from standing tall when love forgets you. So if you're my age, if you've given everything only to be made to feel invisible, don't ever forget this. We are not relics, we are the foundation. Without us, nothing stands. Tell me in the comments, has someone you raised ever betrayed you? I want to hear your story. And remember, we may grow old, but we do not grow weak.